Friday night, Platteville Police pulled a woman over near a train crossing for road rage. The 20-year-old woman, Whitney Gonzalez, was then placed in a patrol car that for some reason was parked on train tracks. While she was inside the patrol car, a train came through and hit the car, severely injuring her. Gonzalez's personal injury attorney told us she has a broken arm, 9 broken ribs, a fractured sternum, and several injuries to her head, back, and legs. Still a lot of questions about this. Joining us now to discuss the legal side of things is 9 News legal analyst Whitney Traylor. Thank you for coming in.
Sure, it's good to be here and discuss this very bizarre situation.
Bizarre is the word that I was thinking as well. So we know that 2 different police departments were actually primarily involved. So what charges could they face?
Right, so it was the Fort Lupton Police and the Platteville Police, and it was the Platteville Police that I guess pulled her over and Fort Lupton assisted her. But what is so bizarre is that the Platteville officer placed his vehicle on the train tracks. While she was in the vehicle, all 3 officers were searching her vehicle. And then that's when it's reported that the train hit her. But it's interesting because she was yelling and screaming, seeing the train. That's what it's reported. So that's really quite scary. And so I think they could potentially face, felony assault charges or at least reckless endangerment. I could see a felony being asserted here because that's just so, their conduct was so reckless that it amounts to criminal liability.
Yeah, and we talked to, an analyst about this, and they said when they're in your custody, you are supposed to protect them. So why they parked in the tracks is still a big question. We know that there's been issues with this crossing. Will that come into play if there are charges brought forward?
That could certainly come into play both criminally because it will be a question. Hey, officers who's in this area, are you aware of this? So that could have increased their knowledge of the train tracks, because I'm still waiting for more details to come out, because maybe it was so hidden or there's something about it, because it just doesn't make sense that they would do this. So yeah, that could increase the culpability if they knew about it and didn't, they didn't put crossings up or didn't do other things. Then yeah, it could certainly increase who's liable and the extent of the liability.
So we talked about criminal charges. What about civil?
Oh boy, the civil charges I think are going to be extensive here. I mean, this is so, could you imagine if they don't settle, going to a jury and saying to the jury, here's what happened? I mean, there's just no excuse. So you're going to be looking at a significant either settlement or judgment. And I don't know what the defense would be. I would not want to be the lawyers defending the officers in this situation. Yeah,
so it also appears that the DA is considering criminal charges against the woman who was injured. What are your thoughts about potential charges against her?
Well, that's going to be bizarre because it's the same thing. Would you want to be the district attorney prosecuting this woman who has these severe injuries, serious injuries, and now you're still going to prosecute her criminally? Now, there's not a lot of facts that came out. There was a report that there was a road rage incident with a gun, and they haven't, I don't think there's been any reports that they've recovered a gun. So I think the police, I think it's Fort Lupton that's actually researching her situation, has recommended that charges be filed, but it would be the same district attorney both prosecuting the police in the situation and the woman in the situation, which is a bit of an awkward situation.
Yeah, I was going to ask about conflict of interest here with the DA and the police and everything.
Well, and it's an issue. I mean, this is an ongoing, there's a lot of scholarship about DAs and police, especially now in an age where police are now starting to be prosecuted. Is there a breach of trust because the DA has to work with the police? So I don't know if it's necessarily a conflict of interest as much as it puts them in a difficult position, which is why sometimes they'll have district attorneys or the state attorney general prosecute some of these so that there isn't that difficult situation of prosecuting people that you normally work with and are your witnesses and things like that.
I have a feeling we're going to be having a few more discussions on this because you're right, not a lot of information has been released. This happened Friday. We got a very vague press release that came out, I believe, on Tuesday with not a lot of details. So once more come out, probably bring you back and have some more questions for you. Whitney, thank you so much for coming in.
Sure thing. Happy Friday.